So we are live.
Hello, Christine. Good
Good
morning, everyone.
morning.
Hi. So I'm Sherry from Montreal.
Hi, I'm Christine from British Columbia, and welcome to Pull Up a Chair.
Welcome, everyone. So
So,
today's
our
topic,
topic, go ahead.
go for it. Go for it.
Oh, okay. So, today we're talking about playing the role of the victim, or do you feel you're a victim? And it's an interesting conversation because I keep running into it. So, hence why we talk about what we talk about because it shows up in our energy. So go
Yeah,
ahead,
sure.
Sherry.
Yeah, it sure
Jump
does.
right in.
And it's about being stuck in your story too, right? Was that part of the theme
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
missed the write up? But so the stories we get so immersed in our stories that we often don't even know they're a story, and or the story it becomes sort of it propels, so much of the rest of our lives. And so an example of that I've got a bunch of examples actually. I got many stories. You got an hour? But was a story of my dad back in grade 7 when I came home with a science final mark of 96%. He thought he was jokingly saying, well, what happened to the other 4%? Instead of congratulating me and giving me kudos for the 96. And that became sort of the pillar stone of so many things for so many years. It was like, oh my God, poor me. I'm not good enough. I can't even please my father with 96. Like it became a whole, for
Story. Yeah.
years, this was my story. I'm not good enough. And then what happens is then it's not just the story, like it's all this undermining of I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. And it took years later for me to, I spoke to him thankfully before he passed, and it was like, oh my God, Jerry, I was joking. But, depending on our filters and how we feel that day or how we feel, I was so desperate all the time maybe to get that kind of validation from my father. But he was a man of few words. So he wasn't one to go around and hug me and say, you're great. And, that's what I was looking for, but I wasn't getting it, right? So to only ever hear, well, what happened to the missing marks, became like, geez, I'm just not good enough.
And then you became the victim to it.
Sure did.
And this is where people get lost because I think it was a few years ago, someone said to me that I was playing the role of the victim, and I got really, really insulted. I said, me, a victim? Never. And then they pointed it out to me, the differences. And I went, oh my gosh, I never saw it that way.
Mm,
So I became a victim to a situation because I kept talking about it. So when you keep talking about something, you become the victim of that situation. And and every time you get stuck in that story, it's like you're throwing on another piece of wood.
yeah,
And then the more you keep adding to the story through your life, it becomes a forest fire
yeah.
and it becomes who you are. It's a reflection of who you are. And this is playing the role of the victim. So what you just shared was incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, and well said about the fire, because it's true. Anything that happened after that, in particular with boyfriends, well, pretty much with anybody, but I think it was more about me looking for that kind of validation or love from a male part. So I remember with one boyfriend, I felt very condescending always to me. It seemed I was never good enough. If somebody, I was like a little size 5, I think I was 119 pounds or something, and somebody would say, oh, did you lose weight? You look great, or whatever. He'd smack my ass and say, oh, she could still lose a couple pounds. It was always something like that. It was
Right.
never good enough. So him saying that is not very nice no matter what. Let's just park that. But in his world, if he was joking, and if I was in a different filter, I probably would have laughed because I knew I was slim and I didn't need to lose more. So it's all this. So me being the victim, oh boy, I just layered it on log after log after log. So yeah, I had a big burning fire in my 20s for sure, and it
But you
took a
see,
lot of years to put it out.
yeah, you see, you carry it forward
Yep.
at some level. So, for example, what you keep talking about is not good enough.
Yep.
So, and there's still energy behind that.
Oh
So it's
yeah, because it was so huge that that
yeah,
bonfire was massive.
yeah. So
So
you
yeah, I'm still
see,
trying to extinguish it.
exactly. So you see, the fact that you can easily access a story means it's still within you.
Well, the interesting part with that too, though, I'd just like to
Yeah,
add
yeah, go
on,
ahead.
is one thing, 'cause I think there is two parts. There is accessing the story or remembering the story,
Right.
which in itself is okay as long as you're not attaching any energy
Exactly.
anymore to it. But if
Yes.
you cannot say that story without feeling hurt or without crying or
Right.
without feeling all that
Any
energy, then
emotional attachment. Yes.
yeah, and
Detached from
I'm
it.
not done. I'm not done yet. Yeah.
Well, you see, I think recently I'm on TikTok now, and people say,
Yeah,
"What are you on
congrats.
TikTok for?" And I said, "You know what? It's Jason Estes had said it. TikTok was a platform that created a lot of uh, not the best type of what do you call it? People that were posting stuff were not really from heart base. But he said, the only way to change a system is be in the system and change it from the inside. So
Ah, that's cool.
yeah, so I'm on TikTok, and I have to say for myself, I've just started a couple of weeks ago. The videos that I'm posting, I'm getting 3, 4, 500 hits a day. So, but you see
Ah,
but people are more, um, they're talking more openly about what they're experiencing. And one lovely soul is all constant going back into his stories about what had happened to him, his childhood. And I keep
oh,
going back to him and I said, you need to step out of your story because you're becoming a victim. And he said, and so he was so stuck on this to prove a point.
yeah,
You see? So we become our stories, that they become so important to us because that's how um, uh, we become, what's the word, we identify ourselves with that role of saying, yes, that I am the victim. And and then from there, it's, what are you a victim of? And
right.
then heal that. It's not the story. You know,
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
incredible. I mean, my family pointed fingers at my dad and what he did wrong, and he was bad, and 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 for some reason I just never looked at it that way. And even as I step out of it, I looked at it and said, so what is the learning there?
Yes.
And it's when you get the learning, when that, like, this is what I was trying to convey to this lovely soul on TikTok. What is the emotion behind the story? That's what you need to heal.
Yes, exactly. But we tend to walk around wearing things as a badge of dishonor, right? And it's like,
Because it feels good to
you
them.
know,
Exactly. It's like, this is, it's like the people who fought the war, they had their little,
yeah,
medals.
exactly. Badge of honor, but yeah, we carry them as badges of dishonor. It's true. It's like, oh, poor me. Boy, have I got a story. Let me jump in and share my story with you. My story is worse than your story. Oh, you think you had it bad as a kid? Well, I blah 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 blah. And it's like, why do we even go down those bunny holes? Like, just what about where am I today?
Yeah.
But you're right, the healing of it is the hard part
Yeah.
because it's really about looking at it, first really understanding it and releasing it, forgiving it, loving it, and just saying, okay, so what has this taught me?
Yeah.
Because layer after layer, all of these things are teaching us just how to be a better human, how to be a better soul, how to be a better, you know, more compassionate friend.
Yeah. Well, lovely Marita. Hi, Marita. Thanks for watching. She's just posted a thought, which is really true, that what happens in therapy when you work with a therapist, they always get you to go back and talk about your story.
Yes. Yes. Hi,
And
Marita. Oh, from Portugal. Nice.
yeah,
Yes. So true.
so in therapy, you're with a therapist who is just dragging you through those fires, and
Yes.
and and it's just reactivating you, and then, okay, now, so what do
Come
you
back
feel?
next week. Yeah,
Yeah,
come back
come
next
back
week.
next week, but here is some medication to numb how you
Oh,
feel.
yeah, yeah,
So, this is such an old way of keeping people caught in those traps,
yeah, it's so true. And then
you
you're
know?
paying it like a year later, you're still in therapy and you've paid
Yeah.
them enough money that they've put their kids through med school. A
Yeah.
big part of, right? Like,
Yeah.
big part of when I went through my coaching training, the underpinnings of coaching was that the difference between a coach and a therapist is that the therapist is the archaeologist. They want you to dig up all those old bones, right? Whereas a coach is the architect. It's to build a new future. And I love that model. It resonated with me so
Yeah.
well because it's not about digging up all the old stories, but you do have to recognize that you're carrying energy from something, and it's whatever's holding you back is to identify like, oh, there it is. So when you hear that voice, say for me, it's like you're not good enough, or I'm feeling I react to something that is said to me because I'm hurt. It's like, oh, okay. So what's behind that? It's like, oh, okay, I'm not feeling that I'm good enough. I'm feeling like he's insulting me.
Exactly.
And I
Yeah.
felt that a lot from my husband too for years. I felt hurt. I walked around with so much hurt hanging off me because I hadn't healed the initial I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
So no matter what he said or did, I felt like I wasn't good enough. So I was always in this reactive mode and it's exhausting.
Well, yeah, it is.
So I didn't
And it
recognize.
I remember years and years and years ago when I was married and, we weren't, doing well, and we went to see a therapist, and I remember sitting there looking at this therapist, and I thought, "Wow." You see, I didn't know anything that I know now, which is nothing, but I know more than now than I did then, but energetically, I guess I felt it back then because I remember looking at her and I'm going, "But how are you telling us this? Have you gone through this? Have you experienced
Mhm.
this?" And she said, "Well, no." And I went and I looked at Richard and I said, "Well, this doesn't make sense. Why are we here?" So I think it's important that if anybody's out there who's tired of being a victim and wants to get out of that role, there are ways. There are new ways to transfer or transition out of all that chaos. For example, Sherry and I can help you with that. There are people out there who do it a different way, and they don't drag you through the
Yeah.
past, and they don't make you feel really bad, because when you leave therapy, it's not about feeling, oh my God, you feel worse or you don't feel like I've heard people who have come out of therapy and I said, well, how did you feel different? Well, I didn't feel different. I felt
Ah,
worse, you know?
ah,
And
that's a flag. Yeah, that's a flag. Wave
yeah,
that red flag. Yeah, you're in the wrong place.
it's everything we do is based on the choices we make.
Yeah, yeah,
And just because someone says, do this or go see this or whatever, do it. But if it doesn't feel right,
yeah.
then stop doing it because that is your choice.
That's right. That's right. And when you're dealing with these emotional issues, it's so important that you resonate with somebody. And at the end of the session, there should be some advancement
Yeah,
in your emotional barometer. I always try and do a check-in 5 minutes before we end the call. It's like, okay, where on a scale of 1 to 10 were you at the start of
yeah,
the call, and where are you now? How are you feeling? What are some of your insights? Like, helping the person. And if they haven't gone up, well, then I'm not done with my session.
right.
Yeah, I think that's really a critical point. Like you said, yeah, as therapists. I did go see one just for the hell of it because anyway, long story, we won't go into it, but actually twice. Anyway, it was the worst experience of my life, these psychologists. It was bad. So I know there's a lot of good ones out there, but you've got to resonate. But another key point too, you said, Christine, which I love, you said that if you're feeling like a victim, get out of the story. But some people don't even recognize that they are a victim,
Exactly. Good point.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody I know, for years she would say like, oh, it's too bad I wasn't born into like a richer family because I would be so much better. better
Exactly.
off.
Yeah.
And, and I'm like, huh? Like, there's a lot of people that come from nothing and become something. So
Yeah.
what's the difference there, right?
Yeah.
It's mindset. It's the emotions. It's the self-esteem, which you can have coming out of boredom, poverty. Yeah,
No
and
drinking before the show, but
yeah,
please.
but you could have really, really bad self-esteem coming out of a millionaire family.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing too, because that's the self-esteem is a harder. You can't really be taught that. It's got to really, you've really got to come from within with that one.
Well,
Um,
I'm working with somebody right now who goes to AA, and I said to him, I said, you know, um, and he fell off the wagon and basically has been beating himself up. And what I said
mm,
to him, I said, lovely one, where you are is where you need to be. And you had to fall off the wagon, and you might fall off again and again and again. Because if you need to fall off to know what it's like to
yeah,
what it's like when you fall off. Because the next time when you fall off, you may stay there a shorter period of time. Everything is a lesson, and it's learning, and it's helping you to grow and evolve, and you're perfect the way you are. So let's
beautiful.
go back and look at, what do you feel behind all this? And so we're working on that, and he's saying, it's just incredible, just in 2 sessions. He said, "How I feel." He said, "I feel more in control, and I'm
Mm,
not as nervous anymore." He said, this is just 2-hour sessions that we're working, and he feels more, what was the word he said? It's like he said, "I feel like I'm more in control instead of
nice.
being controlled."
Oh, that's so important, right?
You know?
When you harness that empowerment,
Yeah.
that personal power. That's good, and that's good advice even for like a dieter.
Yep.
Anybody who's
Oh,
excessive
perfect, yeah.
when you fall off and you eat that donut or you're out
Yeah,
shopping again, it's like, oh, damn, and then we beat ourselves up. It's true, and then there's all this
exactly.
negative chatter, which just makes you feel like
Shit again.
awful.
Yeah.
You feel like shit again. Exactly what I was going to say. So then, what do? You go back for another donut or another drink, or you go
Yeah,
out and shop to
and he
feel
said,
better
"Screw it,
again.
this isn't working." But that's
Yes.
okay. You
Yes, yes. As long as you don't beat yourself up, you just say, okay, so I had that drink or that donut.
Yeah.
Done. Tomorrow's another day. Voila. Yeah.
Well, the basis of this lovely soul that I'm working with, I said, the biggest problem we deal with, and I dealt with it too growing up, is we're trying to fit in.
Yeah. Big time.
And
So
it's just
true.
I said, you don't need to fit in. I said, if anything, they need to fit in your world.
Mm.
And if they don't want to play by your rules, then you tell them to just piss off.
Go find a new group of peeps that,
Yeah, and just
align
let
with your
me
world.
be, because we're all trying to figure this out our own way,
Yeah, we are.
and this is not a cookie cutter process, you know.
Mm.
As I said to him, we didn't come on this planet with a book of directions.
I know, right?
We
And we're all
came Yeah, it's like, I always
different.
had an image when I was younger. I said, "We didn't come on this planet with book of directions." I said, "I feel like I'm at the end of sitting on a rock, and I don't know how to swim, and they've thrown me in the water, and they said, 'Figure out how to swim or you'll drown.'
Yeah, yay.
If you wanna stay in this lifetime, you better figure it out." So, you see, that was what I grew up with in the back of my head. It's like, yeah, yeah, I'm trying to swim.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know?
And sometimes we feel like we're drowning, and then we
Many
raise
times.
our arm and we
Yeah,
get pulled out.
yeah,
Yeah. Belonging, a big issue, says
yeah,
Marita. You don't find your tribe that easily. It's very, very true.
yeah. But you
Um,
see, again, though, we are our own tribe.
but well, there is that.
Yeah,
There is that. And adding to what you were saying before about fitting in, when you're trying to fit in, then you're not being authentic. You will never find your tribe because you're not authentic. And so
exactly.
your essence, your vibration in itself is so confusing that you're probably going to attract in like a whole mishmash of people because maybe one day you're this and the next day you're that, and so you're not going to find a tribe until you step into your authentic self, until you
Right.
resonate, which can take a lot of courage sometimes, right? Like,
Yeah.
and being really authentic with yourself and like vulnerable, because it's just, you're opening up your heart. But boy, once you do, and Marita, once you do, like seriously, I put this to the test the last couple of years alone. Like I have, like just the tribe that I'm being aligned with now, these new people that are coming into my life. It's beautiful. Well, including you, Christine. Like, these last couple of years, like we've just really cementing our vibration together, our friendship together. So you can find your tribe
Yes, you
easily
can.
when you
Yeah.
when you vibrate authentically.
Yes. Or you get surrounded by people who just trigger the crap out of you, and then when you
We
start
say
to get
bye.
yeah. Well, before you say bye, you go inside and you go, "So what is being triggered?" Because you need to heal that, because it
Yes,
doesn't matter where you go, the
you'll
next
carry
person is
that.
gonna trigger you. So,
Good point.
yeah, so you
Yeah.
can't escape it.
No, you cannot. No, no. And triggers are gifts. They
Yes,
truly are the gifts. If you're triggered and you're feeling that you're mad or sad about something, it's like, sit with that. What's it
yeah,
showing you? What's it teaching you? And then when you get it, it is such a golden gift. Oh my God, I've been so gifted with so many healings just the last few years, and huge epiphanies. And I do know people who I vibrate with. They just not around here.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard one too. But thank God
Welcome.
for social media, or
Yeah,
technology, I should say, right?
yeah,
Yeah, like Maria, Christine lives what, about 5,000 kilometers away?
yeah,
At about the distance we are, yeah.
yeah.
So it's yeah, technology brings us together, thankfully.
Thankfully, I mean, I had someone connect with me the other day who said, "Let's talk." And I suggest this so many times to people that I meet online and say, "Why don't we just catch up on Zoom or whatever?" And this lovely soul lives in Spain, so we
Mm.
connected yesterday and had such a beautiful conversation, and it
Oh,
just warmed
nice.
my heart. So yeah, I mean, it's open yourself to the possibilities that, and it's what Marita and I were in a conversation with Morgan,
Ah,
and it was talking about separation and feeling disconnected, and wanting that physical connection with somebody, because you see that's the human side of us, and it's now basically it's not about that physical contact. It's more because everything's an illusion anyway,
that's right.
you
That's
know
right.
so it's so beyond. It's diving at a deeper level within ourselves for us to really truly connect to our pure essence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well said, because energetically we can connect with people all over the world. And Merida, Portugal is so on my list of places to
yeah,
visit. And
we're
now,
coming to visit you.
yeah, and Christine and I have been talking about it. So you hang on,
Yeah.
girl. You wait till you see what hits you. We're coming. We're coming. Yeah, hugging
I
someone is not an illusion. Like
I
crazy. I love
know, but
hugging.
it's
Love hugging. So we're already at the 23.5 mark here,
yeah.
sweetie.
So
Um,
I know anyway, we do tend to fly through this. So
yeah, yeah, it
everyone,
went
thank
fast.
you so much for listening. For those that catch us on the replay, thank you, and warms my heart. Marita, thank you. You're such a lovely being of love and light. Love your posts. And Sherry, you're beautiful, and yeah, you make me
And
happy.
Christine, right back at you, darling. I
Yeah,
enjoy this every week. I enjoy this time with you. I was sorry to have missed it last week, but
yeah, yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. My tooth was not pulled, by the way. It was just anyway. Filling had
Yes,
to be
honey.
filed down. And my tongue was all like an inch thick. It was so infected. So on that note, lovelies, have a great weekend. I'm
Yeah,
officiating another weekend, another wedding tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. And have a great week, everyone. Please
yeah.
drop in with your comments.
My love, my heart, my heart to your heart. Much love and light. Everyone have a beautiful week.
Mm. Beautiful.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.